Okay. So, gustation, which is taste, is a little bit different. You have 5 primary tastes that you can taste, right? You've got salty, sweet, sour, bitter, and umami. Umami is like meaty or savory, okay? So it's like that savory flavor. So you know there's a place called Umami Burger, right? So it's like umami is like savory or meaty kind of thing. It comes from the Japanese word for meaty. Okay, so you have 5 primary tastes that you can detect, and your sense of taste actually includes your sense of smell. Okay, so in order to get the full effect of the taste of your food, you actually require your sense of smell too. So you get all of these chemicals that are coming into your mouth and you're tasting them, but as you're eating them, they also get up into your nose, right? So and you eat it, you smell it, and it stimulates the olfactory pathway as well. Because your olfactory pathway, you can have like 10,000 like different smells that you can have. Okay, in your olfactory pathway versus 5 primary ones in your taste. Your olfactory pathway actually helps to enrich the flavor of whatever it is that you're tasting. Okay, so you get that sense of smell helping out your sense of taste. Okay, so that's why like when you're sick, right, and you can't smell anything, your nose is all stuffed up, everything tastes kind of bland, you're like, it's not that good, right? And that's because you can't use your sense of smell when you're eating. So you don't get the full experience of your food, which is kind of crazy. So it also includes olfactory inputs. You have about 10,000 taste buds in your mouth at a given time. And they're located mainly on your tongue, but you also have them in other places as well. So like on the roof of your mouth, okay, you have taste receptors, and also on your pharynx, so that's at the back of your throat, and then on the epiglottis. The epiglottis is a piece of tissue that covers your vocal cords or your airway when you're swallowing food, and then when you're breathing, it covers your esophagus. So it's a little piece of tissue that flops back and forth and makes sure everything's going where it's supposed to go, right? That's why, like, if you're eating and talking at the same time, you're more likely to choke because your epiglottis gets confused as to what you're supposed to be doing, and so it doesn't know where to go. It kind of freaks out, and then you can choke on your food, which is not good. Nobody wants to have to do that time of time. So you've got taste receptors all over in your mouth, actually, which is kind of interesting. And those taste receptors are located in these things that are called papillae, okay, which are like little bumps. And you've got 3 different kinds of papillae. Okay, you've got the valate papillae, which if you like stick out your tongue really far and you look at the back of your tongue, you got the like kind of bigger bumps at the back of your tongue. Those are the valate papillae. And then if you stick out your tongue and you look at it, you'll notice you have kind of like little bumps all over your tongue. Okay, those are the fungiform papillae. And if you keep looking at your tongue, you'll notice that it kind of looks fuzzy. Okay, and those are the filiform papillae. So the valate and the fungiform have taste receptors in them. Okay, that's where you're going to be getting your sense of taste. Your filiform just has touch receptors. Okay, so that's why, like, if you stick something into your mouth, you can feel texture and stuff like that. Is because of these filiform papillae. So valate and fungiform have taste receptors. Filiform is only touch receptors. So here's what your tongue looks like. So this is, you know, your cut out your tongue. What it looks like. You have your 2 tonsils. Okay, this is the back of your tongue. Okay, this is like part like down like in the back of your throat that you can't actually see. And then here's your valate papillae, right here, one of the bigger ones. And then can you see kind of like the little bumps right all over, like here and here and here, yeah. Thank you. Those are your fungiform papillae, okay, where you have taste receptors, and then everywhere else, those are the filiform that give you a sense of touch on your tongue. Okay, so if you were to take a little piece of your tongue and zoom in on it, here's what it would look like. So this would be a valate papillae, okay, a big one. And all of these little blue dots right here are the actual taste buds themselves. Okay. These are the fungiform papillae, right? They're called fungiform because they look like a kind of like a mushroom, right? The top of a mushroom. And then here's your little filiform papillae. All right. So these guys will have your taste buds on them. Okay. So taste buds. So if you take that little blue dot that we're just looking at and you zoom in on it, you would see taste buds. Taste buds have 3 types of epithelial cells on them. Okay? You have supporting cells that surround and help to support and nourish the gustatory receptor cells. So those are the actual cells that are detecting the chemicals in the food that you eat and giving you your sense of taste. And then you have basal cells, which are stem cells, okay, that actually replace the supporting cells and your gustatory cells about every 10 days. Okay, so those basal cells divide and replace those receptor cells every 10 days. So gustatory receptor cells, they have little hairs that project through what's called a taste pore. So here's what your taste bud actually looks like. So this is your tongue, right? This would be like on one of the fungiform papillae, okay? And you have a little taste pore right here, so like a little hole. And all of these, okay, this is your receptor cell, like right here, okay? They have these like little hairs that stick up through that little taste pore, okay? And so what happens is when you eat something, okay, the food gets dissolved in your saliva, and the chemicals of the food come and hit these little hairs, okay? And then these little hairs pick it up and cause this gustatory receptor cell to release neurotransmitters, okay? And those little neurotransmitters communicate with sensory neurons, which send the signal into your brain, all right? So the little gustatory cells right here pick it up and then communicate with receptor cells. So they're not actually like neurons. Like in your olfactory pathway, right? The olfactory receptor cells, those were neurons. These are not. Okay, they're specialized cells. And then you can see the basal cell right here, okay? And then a receptor cell or a supporting cell here. So the supporting cells will eventually become the receptor cells. The basal cells divide, form supporting cells, and those eventually become the receptor cells when they die. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. So here's how you actually taste. I've already talked about this, but you get a big yummy burger, right? And then you take a bite of that burger and you chew it up, right? And when you chew it up, some of those chemicals get dissolved into your saliva. That saliva goes through that taste pore, hits that little hair on the gustatory receptor cell. The signal's produced and causes it to release a neurotransmitter that activates the neurons that are coming in contact with it. You do adapt to taste, so like, and that happens fairly quickly, between like 1 and 8 minutes or so. Your taste will be completely adapted, or it'll be duller, right? So when you first eat something, you're like, oh, so good, right? And then as you keep eating it, you taste it actually less and less. Which is why some people, you know, if they've got a plate of food, like at Thanksgiving, they eat kind of like around their food, right? So around their plate, and eat different things at different times, and just go and take a bite of each to try and. Some people like that because they can taste it all better and more strongly. So, you know, some people like to mix it all together. Depends on who you are. So different tastes arise from different types of these receptor cells. So you know, like how back in the day they would actually show you a picture of the tongue, and they'd say like, this is where you taste sweet, and this is where you taste sour and bitter and stuff. They've actually discovered that that's not really actually the case. What happens is you actually, when you eat something sweet, okay, it actually activate all of your taste bud receptors, right? All of the receptors. But certain kinds of them react more strongly than others. So when those react more strongly, your brain interprets that as this is sweet. So, and I mean, in general, yeah, like maybe the tip of your tongue, you're able to taste sweet better because that's where more of those receptors are located. But in actuality, like all of your tongue is going to be reacting to that. So, yeah, it's a little bit different. Okay, so here's your pathway from your taste buds up into your brain. So you have 3 nerves that are transmitting those impulses from your tongue up into your brain. So you've got cranial nerve 7, okay, cranial nerve 9, and cranial nerve 10, okay, that are innervating those different parts of your tongue. So those nerves, they go from your tongue into your medulla oblongata, right? So they go up into your brainstem, right? And then from there, they go to the thalamus, right? Remember, the thalamus is your main relay center, right? It tells all of your senses where to go. So it goes into the thalamus, and then from there, it gets projected onto your cerebral cortex, all right? Where it's interpreted. And some of them also do go to your limbic system as well, which is why, like, you eat certain things and you're like, yay, this makes me happy, okay? Or, whoa, this is gross, and I want to throw up after eating. So it goes into your limbic system as well. So you get, happy or sad or whatever from what you eat. So that's the pathway of your sense of taste up into your brain. Interesting, huh? Okay,